Alex, Kyle Whittingham went to Michigan, and then the staff went, and now players are going to. John Henry Daley, after Lewis Powell went to Michigan, this felt likely. And after, look, when you have some of the best guys that Utah did, Utah is a really good school, but they are not of the upper echelon when it comes to NIL. So when a top dog like Michigan comes calling, which I do believe is top 5 resources in the sport, hence why Kyle Whittingham, when was been interviewed several times now, he said, when I stepped down from Utah, there's only 5 jobs I would have listened to. This is one of them. I do believe him because it's the Michigan job. It has amazing resources. So a guy like John Henry Daley, 11.5 sacks. He enters the transfer portal, winds up a Wolverine. I was like, okay, I get that one, but he's not the only one. Now, Jonah Laia, this one definitely surprised me. I thought Laia was good last year, but did not think he was outstanding. Well, we'll see what he does at Michigan. He had 38 total tackles, a sack, pass deflected, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery for the Utes as a starter. He's going to the Wolverines, and as Steve Bartle of KSL Sports reported, it seems JT Buchanan committing to Michigan is only a matter of time as well, and we've seen other Michigan reporters talk about that Buchanan's timing entering the portal has been one to keep an eye on. It's interesting. We're talking about how do we feel about this. I'm happy for the athletes, I'll say, because don't hate the players, hate the game. They have an opportunity to what I do believe is more than likely them earning more money out of Michigan. But yeah, it obviously hurts for Utah that you are losing some of your top guys. And I'm not really mad at Kyle Whittingham for it, but it is just an unfortunate situation. What do you make of all this, Alex?
No, I think you said it best. Hate the player, not the game. Or hate the game, not the player. Yeah. I think that, this is the way that the system is set up and the way that college football is set up right now. It allows these players this opportunity to go out and essentially jump into the transfer portal and be able to try to find the highest bidder. And that's just the reality of where we are now. I'm not surprised John Henry Daley jumped in. I'm not surprised. I am a little bit surprised by Laia. But the one I'm really surprised by is JT Buchanan. JT Buchanan, the young true freshman, I think after Hunter Andrews went down, had truly a breakout. And I thought he was one of the better players. And I thought that, trying to compare him and trying to find likes for him, it seemed like he was a guy who had a ceiling similarly to one of a Dalton Kincaid. And I thought maybe he could be the next Dalton Kincaid for the University of Utah. But sounded like he wanted to be at Utah around the bowl game. But then obviously quickly things change. And now he's in the portal. And I'm sure he's going to go and he's going to have a phenomenal he'll be fine at Michigan. He'll have a phenomenal time at Michigan. But I think Utah now, again, just being in that position to go out into the transfer portal and be able to replace that talent. And then you also have Hunter Andrews returning. So, which I think is a thing that a lot of Utah fans have overlooked and he hasn't played since the Texas Tech game. And so for a second there, even I forgot about Hunter Andrews, but you shouldn't forget about Hunter Andrews because he can come in and play the role of JJ Buchanan next season. And that's something that I look forward to. For them to go out to Michigan and be able to take those opportunities of, again, to try to find the highest bidder, get the most money you possibly can as a collegiate athlete, because the NFL isn't guaranteed for any of these guys.
No.
Right. You have to go out and you have to perform and you have to put stuff on tape that will make NFL teams look at it and say, this is a guy who can come in and be phenomenal, great for our franchise. But then, and it's not guaranteed, right? So you have to go out and you have to put yourself first, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, it's very true. I think about Adalis Vakalagi. He's a Penn State Nittany Lion now. Did he just want to transfer and go to Penn State? I mean, yeah, sure, there's always a chance, but it seems to me highly likely that he has an opportunity to earn more at Penn State, just as the case with a lot of what's going on in college football. And yeah, I talked about a little bit on my show last week, Alex, but it's tough when you lose a talent like a JJ Buchanan. I mean, that's a guy who has a ceiling of leading a team offensively and receiving yards, right? He is an incredible talent. John Henry Daley was one of the country's best pass rushers this year and could be that next year. Laia was a starter for Utah and is going to be either a valuable depth piece or a starter for this Wolverines team. So it's just tough, the position that Utah is in right now, where they're losing a lot of their top guys. And we can talk about that position more in a moment. But once again, just going back to the Kyle Whittingham thing, it's really hard for me to be mad at Kyle Whittingham. I know a lot of people are like, they're stealing all our players and everything. And I get the sentiment. But once again, look, it's just call it what it is. Michigan has better resources. These guys are going to a place where they're just going to have a chance to win a national championship better than they would at Utah. I wish that wasn't the case. It just absolutely is, with the way the sports works, what the resources are. Also, just the difference in how the Big Ten, and honestly, you include the SEC in this are covered compared to the Big 12 and the ACC. Look at the SEC compared to the ACC, by the way, in bowl season. Like, it's hilarious. You would think the ACC success is how the SEC should be doing, but it's total opposite. So you get the benefit of the doubt at those schools, those programs as well too. And look, Kyle Whittingham gave Utah 21 years, so he's obviously taken a lot with him on his way out, but he still has left a good foundation in place for this Utah team. So I get why people are frustrated, Alex, but I just don't think I am, because he gave us 21 years, and a lot of these guys he's taking with him, he's giving them better opportunities, whether that's to win a title or financially. It appears that way in the NIL era. So it's just hard for me to be angry at Witt. How do you feel about all this?
Yeah, I understand where the Utah fans are coming from, right? I understand where the I guess the anger comes from online. There's been a lot of it over the course of the last month, ever since the news broke that Kyle Whittingham was potentially going to move on to Michigan. And I understand, right? I understand where that is, because he himself said he's going to leave the program in a good spot. But I think what a lot of people are overlooking again is that Utah is in a good spot. Yes. And he does leave it in a good spot. And that's because Morgan Scalley is ready for this opportunity. And Morgan Scalley is the perfect guy, and probably the only guy who can lead this program after Kyle Whittingham. But I don't know what your thoughts were on the press conference, JT, but I thought it was amazing for him to come out, right? Show that much emotion. He said all the right things that I think Utah fans needed to hear. And so I think the relationship with Utah fans and Kyle Whittingham will eventually be able to heal over time. But right now I understand why people are upset, because it seems like the exact words and the exact things that Kyle Whittingham said he wasn't going to do, he did. But it's just the name of the game, man. It's just the name of the game of I'm not talking about tampering. I'm not talking about, anything, right? I've seen a lot of people talk about the tampering online, but I'm more so just referring to taking advantage of the transfer portal and being able to give guys the resources, right? And giving guys the best benefit for the players to be able to go to and move on to a different opportunity.
Yeah, this is where it gets so funny, right? Because it's such a sticky situation, because everyone can scream about tampering this and tampering that. And look, at the end of the day, nothing's going to really change. Like, no one's going to come forward and expose this person's skeletons in their closet, because they're just going to go, what about the skeletons you have in your closet, sir?
Right.
So
right. That's a different conversation of where college football is at. And that's something that college football, the powers that be of college football need to come in and figure out and fix. But right now, the way that the system's set up, I think people and coaches around the country are just taking advantage of the way the system is set up. I mean, look at the Damon Williams situation, right? He signs a rev share contract, and then a couple of days later, someone gets in his ear, says, hey, we can get you X amount at this school. And then he jumps in the portal, even though he just signed the contract, right? That's just the mess. That's just the mess of the reality that college football is right now. And I think a lot of people are just taking advantage of the way the rules or the lack thereof is written. And so they're just playing the game, man. I think Utah fans, again, they'll be upset because of the way that things went down with Kyle Whittingham. But ultimately, I think Whittingham's just trying to put Michigan in the best position to make sure that he's in a spot where he can go on and win a national championship.
He absolutely is. And this Utah football team, I'm excited to see what they look like next year. This episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The college football playoff is here, and FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get in on the action every single game day of the playoffs. Because right now, every college football playoff game is a one that FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them in the app. Here's what I love about it. You get to use the profit boost on the bets you already feel good about. Ride with the favorites when you think a team is in control of the matchup. Take a shot at the underdog that you feel an upset coming. Then you can apply the profit boost and get an even bigger winning when you win. FanDuel pays out instantly, which is perfect for playoff football. FanDuel is the best place to get into the playoff action all season long, so visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every game day with FanDuel Sportsbook.